Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Okay, now it's time. Okay, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's time for our class. As you can see from my sharing screen, this is gonna be the course syllabus. Okay, for the final exam. Okay, we already learned chapter 1 to chapter 4. Okay, and for the final exam, it's gonna be covered from chapter 5 to chapter 8. Okay, as you can see, okay, we have chapter 5, 6, 7, 8. This is what we're going to cover for the final exam. Okay, one thing that I have to warn you is for chapter 5, we're going to learn about ISLM model. Okay, in chapter 6, we're going to learn about ISLM and BP, which means that we're going to use a lot of knowledge from chapter 4 that you already learned in midterm exam. Okay, so in midterm exam, if you cannot do the last question 11, okay, if you already forget about IS and LM model, how IS curve come from, how LM curve come from, I highly recommend you to go back and study in chapter 4. Okay, otherwise you may have a problem in chapter 5 and chapter 6 and you're going to lose a lot of point. Okay, so again, chapter 5 and chapter 6 require a lot of knowledge from chapter 4 about IS and LM model. Okay, so in final exam we cover chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. So okay, in our class midterm, okay, midterm exam is gonna be considered for 45%. For the homework is gonna be 10%, and for the final exam is gonna be 45%. Okay, as you can see here, it's gonna be in total 100% for your grade. Okay, for your grade. Okay, so the final exam that you're gonna have, okay, is gonna be considered for 45%. For the exam day, okay, for the exam day of the final exam is gonna be on Thursday. Okay, it's gonna be on Thursday, November 3rd, okay, 2022. Okay, Thursday, November 3rd. Okay, so it's gonna be from 8 a.m. in the morning to 11 a.m. Okay, we're gonna have a normal exam. Okay, we're gonna have a normal exam. It's gonna be on-site exam. Okay, you have to come to the econ building to have the exam. Okay, and the exam date cannot be changed because this one is already set up by the registration office of the university. Okay, we cannot change. Okay, it's gonna be on this day only. Okay, and one thing I want to tell you is the final exam. The final exam is gonna be just like your midterm exam. Okay, the style, the way of final exam is gonna be the same like a midterm exam. It means that you need to draw a lot. Okay, you need to draw a lot of graph. Okay, you need to draw a lot of graph. Okay, you need to draw a lot of graph and explain. Okay, and explain. You may have some equation. Okay, just a small equation. Okay, just a little bit of the information, but mostly it's gonna be require you to drawing the graph and explain. So you're gonna learn a lot of graph for the final exam, and you need to use it. You need to draw it and explain it in the right way. Okay, this is what I want from you. Okay, so that's it. Okay, that's it. So now you can, and all of the exam is gonna be come directly from my lecture. If you understand all of my lecture, you practice, you try to drawing the graph, try to explain by yourself, you should be fine. Okay, you should be fine. Okay, you will get a lot of point. Okay, that's it. Any question for here? Okay, good. Okay, okay, good. So let's start. Okay, let's start our lecture. Okay, so here I'm gonna starting with this is the lecture that I bring it from midterm exam. Okay, this is a lecture that I bring it from midterm exam. Just copy and paste here. In this graph, okay, I just want to remind you a little bit. In this graph, this is showing how to shift the IS curve. Right? In this graph, it's showing how to shift the IS curve. So you can see that on the upper graph, we're gonna have on the upper graph, we're gonna have the graph that represent the output market. We call Keynesian plus. Okay, we have 45-degree curve. Okay, this one showing the equilibrium in output market. You have TE. TE stand for total expenditure. Total expenditure come from consumption, investment, and government spending. Okay. What's the length of final? What do you mean? What do you mean by the length of final? The final is gonna be covered in chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, 4 chapter. Is that what you want? Is that what your question? Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's go next one. Okay, so you can see that if total expenditure increasing, okay, if total expenditure increasing, TE1 shift up to TE2 is gonna have the effects on IS curve. IS curve is gonna shift to the right from point A to point B. Okay, and the GDP gonna be increasing a lot from Y1 to Y2. Okay, how GDP gonna be increasing depend on multiplier effects. This is we already covered in midterm exam. If you already forget it, how multiplier effects come from, go back to study. Okay, in the previous chapter. Okay. In the next graph, this is the opposite case. If total expenditure going down, okay, TE curve going down from TE1 to TE2, it's gonna have the effects on IS curve. IS curve gonna shift to the left from point A to point B, okay, and the GDP gonna be reducing a lot from Y1 to Y2, okay. The GDP is gonna be reducing high or low, depend on multiplier effects, okay. This is what you already learned in midterm exam. And this one showing you that the LM curve is linked to the equilibrium in output market. Okay, LM curve is connecting with the equilibrium in with the equilibrium in money market. Sorry. Okay, LM curve is gonna link to equilibrium in money market. On the other hand, for the IS curve, it's gonna link to the equilibrium in output market. So what this means is, if the equilibrium in if the equilibrium in money market change, okay, if the equilibrium in money market change, it's gonna have the effects on LM curve. So in this case, I'm showing you that on the left side, if the central bank, I write it as a CB, if the central bank using monetary policy, if the central bank changing the money supply, changing M, okay, if the central bank increasing money supply, increasing M, the real money supply curve gonna shift to the right, to the green color, and LM curve gonna shift down or shift to the right. Okay, this is how it affects LM curve. On the other hand, if the central bank reducing the number of money supply, the real money supply curve will shift to the left from the black curve to the red curve, and it's gonna have the effects on LM curve. LM curve gonna shift up from point A to point C, or if you look horizontally, it's like LM curve shift to the left. Okay, this is how, okay, how the changing in money market affects LM curve. This is what you already learned in midterm exam. Okay, this is what we cover in midterm exam. This is just for remind you, okay, remind you. So, okay, what we're gonna learn here today is in midterm exam, we're focusing on each graph. We focusing on each graph, how output market affects IS curve, how money market affects LM curve, okay? And right now, the new chapter, this is chapter 5, we're gonna consider two graphs together, okay? We're gonna consider IS and LM together. So it's become IS and LM model, okay? We're gonna consider output market and money market, okay, together in the same times, okay? This is what we're gonna do, okay? So let me write down the graph first, okay? I'm gonna write down 3 graphs, okay? One on top, like this, one below, okay, like this, and one on the left, like this, okay? One on the top, this is output market. We're gonna have the 45-degree curve. This is come from Keynesian clause. On the vertical, it's gonna be TE for the total expenditure. On the horizontal, it's gonna be Y for the GDP. Every point on 45-degree curve, total expenditure always equal to the GDP, okay? And then we're gonna have total expenditure curve. For example, you have the curve like this, okay? This is TE equal to C plus I. Investment is going to be high or low, depend on the real interest rate. Let's say R1 plus G1. This is equilibrium point E1, GDP Y1, okay? Link it down, okay? For the lower graph on the horizontal, it's going to be Y. On the vertical, it's going to be R for the real interest rate, okay? Link it down Y1 and Y1, okay? You're going to have LM curve and IS curve, okay? This is equilibrium point E1, okay? And then you link it to the left. On the left, this is going to be the money market. On the horizontal, it's going to be real money supply, M over P. On the vertical, it's going to be R for the real interest rate, okay? You link it to the left, R1 and R1 like this. You're going to have real money supply curve, M over P, and then you have money demand curve. This is MD as a function of R and Y1, okay? You have equilibrium E1, this is M over P. Okay, so far so good. Okay, this is what you have. This is just the starting point. Okay, this is just the starting point. Okay, then next one. Okay, next one. If something change, I want to see how it's going to affect output market and money market. Okay, for example, okay, first one we're going to focusing on if the government using fiscal policy. Okay, if the government using fiscal policy, let's say the government increasing G, okay, let's say the government increasing G, increasing government spending, okay, right now as a G2 is going to be greater than G1, okay. When the government increasing G, increasing spending, it's going to affect output market or money market, okay. The answer is very simple. Where is G? To answer this question, where is G? You need to find G is here. G is inside total expenditure equation. What it means is if the government increasing G, it means total expenditure will be increasing. Like this, okay, increasing G. Total expenditure increasing. Like this, okay, it's become TE equal to C plus I. Okay, C plus I of R1 plus G2. Okay, plus G2. Yeah. And then you can see that the equilibrium point change from E1 to E2. GDP increasing. Okay. On the vertical here is like how G increasing. Okay. On the vertical, it's like how G increasing. On the horizontal, this is how GDP increasing. You can see the GDP increasing a lot. Okay, GDP increasing a lot. This is like delta G. Okay, the government spending more just a little bit. However, the GDP increasing a lot because we have multiplier effects. Remember? Okay, multiplier effects. This is what you learn in midterm exam, right? Okay, we can calculating the multiplier effect. The GDP is going to be increasing in the multiple ways. Okay, compared to how G increasing. When you increasing G, total expenditure shift up. Okay, GDP increasing is gonna have the effects on IS curve. Link it down. Okay, IS curve gonna shift to the right, like this. From point E1, okay, it's gonna move to point, let's say point A. You see that? Point E1 to point A. Real interest is still the same at R1. Okay, real interest is still the same at R1. Okay, so this is like we only focusing on output market and IS curve. Okay, if we focus like this is like we focus only on output market and IS curve. When G increasing, total expenditure going up, and IS curve shift to the right. Okay, IS curve shift to the right. This is like what this is like we only focus on output market and IS curve. Okay, so let me copy this one and paste it over here to the new graph. Okay, so this is not good. If we focusing on only the output market, if we focusing only on IS curve, this is not good because IS curve shift to the right and the equilibrium point moving from E1 to point A. point A, unfortunately, point A is not the new equilibrium point because point A is not stay on LM curve. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this one. Okay, delete this one. Okay, delete this one. Okay, so what it should be is the new equilibrium point should be moving up from E1, let's say, to E3. I use a red color now. Okay, I use a red color now. The new equilibrium point is not point A because point A is staying on IS curve only. It's not stay on LM curve. Okay, the new equilibrium point should be the point that IS curve intersect with LM curve, which is should be E3. I'm using the red color. Okay, so how the output market, okay, how the money market, okay, gonna respond to the new equilibrium point E3. Okay, let's see this. When the government increasing G, okay, total expenditure shift up, okay, you can imagine that GDP should be increasing, right? GDP should be increasing. However, when GDP increasing is gonna have the effects to the money market. Okay, when GDP increasing, they have effects to money market. The question is how. Okay, so to answer this question is very easy. You just want to find where is GDP in the money market. GDP is here, Y1. You see that? Okay, GDP is here, Y1. Y1 is stay inside money demands. Okay, so you need to go back to the midterm exam. Okay, how GDP affects the money demands. Okay, if you go back to the what we learned in midterm exam, you may know that if GDP increasing, what does it mean? It means that people have more money, right? People have more income. Okay, when GDP increasing, people have more money. They're gonna want to hold more money in their hands. So it means that the money demand is gonna be increasing. Okay, how is gonna be increased? You can write down. Okay, you can point down the dot. Okay, located to the new equilibrium point E3. Okay, the money demand is gonna be shift up like this. This is MD, R, and Y3. When money demand shift up, because GDP increasing, people have more money, they want to hold more money in their hands. Money demand shift up, the equilibrium point in money market change from E1 to E3. Just like this, very simple like this, okay? Real interest rate increasing from R1 to R3. You got it? Yeah, you got it? Real interest rate increasing from R1 to R3. Okay, real interest rate increasing from R1 to R3. When real interest rate increasing, what does it mean? What does it mean? They're gonna have the effect going back to the output market. Real interest rate is a cost of borrowing. Okay, real interest rate is a cost of borrowing. It's gonna affect directly to investment. Okay, when they have some change in money market, the real interest rate increasing, then they're gonna have the effect going back to the output market. Investment is gonna be lower. Okay, so I'm gonna write down the dot like this. Okay, here total expenditure gonna going down. Okay, total expenditure used to going up a lot, and right now it's going down. Okay, because investment is gonna be lower. Okay, this is gonna be the new TE, the red color. Okay, TE equal to C plus I of R3 plus G2. Okay, total expenditure going down here because of investment become lower. Investment become lower because of the real interest rate become higher. The equilibrium point in output market, E1, they used to going up to E2. Right now it's going down to E3. GDP is used to going to Y2, but right now it's going only to Y3. You got it? And it's linked, okay, it's connected to the new equilibrium point E3. This is Y3. So far so good. Okay, so in the end, as you can see that, okay, everything, the equilibrium in output market, the equilibrium in money market is all aligned with the new equilibrium in IS and LM curve, E3. Everything is linked together. You got it? E3 here. Okay, here, 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 and here. Everything is linked together. Okay, and the GDP that used to be going up a lot from Y1 to Y2 in the end, GDP only increasing from Y1 to Y3. Okay, it's smaller than multiplier effects. Okay, we call this situation as the crowding out effects. Okay, we call this situation as the crowding out effects. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so done for the first one. Do you have any question? I have a question in the chat. Is this the result of crowding out effect? Yes, we call it crowding out effects. Okay, yes, that's right. You are right. Okay, this is the crowding out effects. Okay, so I highly recommend you to try to do the opposite case by yourself. What I'm showing you here, this is the case of if the government increasing G, okay, and you may want to try to do the opposite case by yourself at home. If the government reducing G, how it's going to be. Okay, they also have the same crowding out effects, but the direction is going to be opposite. Everything is going to be opposite. Okay, so far so good. Okay, done. Okay, we're going to go to the next case. Okay, we're going to go to the next case. Okay, again, I'm going to write down the graph. Okay, IS and LM model. Okay, IS and LM model again. Write down one graph on the top, one graph below, and one graph on the left. Okay, just like this. Okay, one graph on top. This is the Keynesian clause. We have 45-degree curve. Okay, we have Y, we have TE. Every point on the 45-degree curve, TE equal to Y. Just simple like that. Okay, and then I have the total expenditure curve like this. This is like TE equal to C plus I of R1 plus G. Okay, and then I have equilibrium point E1. I have Y1. Link it down. Okay, Y1, O, Y, and R, real interest rate. Okay, I have IS curve. I have LM curve. I have equilibrium point 1. I have R1. And then I'm going to link it to the left. On the left, we have the money market. Okay, M over P as a real money supply. I have R for the real interest rate. Link it to the left, R1 and R1. Okay, and then I have real money supply curve, M1 over P. This is M1 over P. I have money demand curve, MD as a function of R and Y1. This is equilibrium point 1. Okay, this is just the starting point. Okay, this is just like the starting point. So far so good. Okay, before we're focusing on fiscal policy of the government. Right now, here we're gonna focusing on monetary policy. Okay, monetary policy of the central bank. Okay, monetary policy of the central bank. Monetary policy is about how central bank, how they're gonna control the number of money in the economy, how they're gonna control nominal money supply. Okay, how they're gonna control M, the nominal money supply. So in this case, okay, let's assume that if the central bank increasing M, increasing nominal money supply, how it's gonna affect, okay, ISLM model, how it's gonna affect the output market. Okay, so when the central bank increasing M, of course, where is M? M is here inside the real money supply curve, right? When the central bank increasing M, the real money supply is going to shift to the right. This is M2 over P. Okay, let's say M2 is greater than M1. Okay, this is M2 over P. Then, as you can see, the equilibrium point going to change from E1 to E2, and as the consequence, the real interest rate going down from R1 to R2. Real interest rate going down a lot. Link it to the right. Okay, R1. Okay, this is like it's gonna affect LM curve. LM curve gonna shift down. Okay, LM curve gonna shift down. You see that from E1 to point A over here. Okay, E1 to point A. Real interest rate going down a lot. Real interest rate going down a lot on both graphs. Okay, LM curve is like LM curve shift down. It's like LM curve shift down, or if you look horizontally, it's like LM curve shift to the right. Okay, this is if you're focusing only on money market and LM curve. Okay, if you're focusing on money market and LM curve, it means that when central bank increasing M, okay, when central bank increasing M, the real money supply curve shift to the right, the equilibrium point in money market change, and it's gonna shift LM curve down from E1 to point A. Okay, it's done. It's done like this. If you're focusing on only money market, okay. However, in this time, okay, we have IS and LM model. We have to consider IS curve together, right? We have to consider IS curve together with the LM curve, which means that we need to consider output market together with money market. So let's see how it's gonna be. Okay, how it's gonna be. Okay, let me delete what I don't want out of the graph here. Oh, wait. My internet is not good. Let me sharing you the screen again. Give me 1 minute. Okay, give me 1 minute. The internet is not good. This is very bad. I need to restart my iPad. Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. So coming back. Okay. Just sharing my screen. Okay. Point A is not the new equilibrium point. The new equilibrium point is supposed to be point E3. Okay. The point that IS curve intersect with the new LM curve. Okay. So I can write down E3. I can find Y3. I can find R3. Okay. So how the equilibrium in output market and the equilibrium in money market change moving to the new equilibrium point E3. Okay. Let's try to find here. Okay, as you can see, when the central bank inject more money into the economy, when the central bank increasing M, okay, the real interest rate should be going down, right? The real interest rate is gonna be going down. Wait, okay, yeah. When the real interest rate going down, okay, it's gonna have the effects to the output market. As you can see here, okay, let me change to the here. When the real interest rate going down, okay, what does it mean? When the real interest rate going down, it's going to affect the investment. because the real interest rate is a cost of borrowing, right? When the real estate going down, this is good. This is really good for investment. People are gonna invest more. Okay, total expenditure gonna shift up. This is TE equal to C plus I of R3 and plus G. When the real estate going down, okay, for the business sector, they are very happy. They're gonna borrow more and invest more, which is gonna be make total expenditure shift up. The equilibrium point in output market going up from E1 to E3, and it makes GDP to be increasing from R1 to R3. When GDP increasing, okay, when Y increasing, it's gonna have the effects going back to money market again. Y is stay inside money demand, okay? When Y increasing, money demand is gonna be shift up a little bit, okay? I'm gonna have here MD as R and Y3, money demand shift up a little bit. Equilibrium point in money market going up from E1 to E3, okay? The real interest rate that's supposed to be going down to R2, finally it's going down only to R3, okay, here. Okay, the real interest rate that's supposed to be going down to R2 is going down only to R3, only to R3, okay, because they have the shift up of money demand, okay, to offset, okay, the real interest rate going down to R2. It's going to be going up a little bit, okay. So in the end, you can see that the real interest rate that's supposed to be going down to R2 is going down only to R3, and the GDP increasing from R1 to R3. You got it? You got it? And everything is linked together. Everything is linked together. Okay, I use the yellow color. The equilibrium point in output market E3, link it to the equilibrium point in ISLM curve, link it to the equilibrium point in money market, link it to the new real interest rate R3. Everything is linked together. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so again, okay, you may want to try the opposite case by yourself at home. If the central bank, okay, reducing money supply, reducing M, how it's gonna be, okay, how it's gonna affect output market and the money market. Okay, so done with this one. Any question? Okay, good. No question. Very good. Okay, so next one. Okay, next one. Here we're gonna talk about the interaction, okay, the interaction between, okay, between central bank, the interaction between central bank, monetary policy, and government fiscal policy. Okay, the interaction between central bank, okay, monetary policy, and the government fiscal policy. Starting with the government first, okay, starting with the government first. Normally, the government around the world, okay, most of the government, they love, okay, they love to spend the money. Okay, the government around the world, they love to spend the money. They love to increasing G. This is what they love. Okay, they love to increasing G because they have the benefit from that. Okay, every government, they want, okay, they want themselves to be very popular. Okay, then they need, okay, they want themselves to be popular. Okay, they want popularity, right? They want popularity. Okay, why they love to be popular? Because if the people love them, okay, it means that when they have the new election, they're gonna win the election again. Okay, they're gonna win. Okay, they're gonna win the election again. If they won the election again, they can be the government in the next period, right? They can keep being government for the long times, for the long terms, right? Okay, so the government love to spend a lot of money, okay, to make themselves to become popular, okay, because they want to win the election next terms, right? Okay. However, on the other hand, we have the central bank. I need to make it clear over here that for the modern country, normally central bank and the government is going to be independent to each other. Okay, normally central bank and government, they're going to be independent to each other. Government cannot control central bank. Central bank cannot control government, except some country. Okay, I have to say, except some country. Some country. Okay, I don't know. Maybe China. Okay, the government of China is like control everything. Okay, control everything. Okay, so just only some case. Okay, just only some case like China, for example, that the president of China, the government of China control everything, also control central bank. However, the rest of the world, normally government and central bank is going to be independent to each other. So when the central bank independent from government, what does it mean? What does it mean? It means that when government doing one thing, the central bank may doing the other thing. Okay, because they are independent to each other. So in this section, we're gonna talk about how central bank gonna respond, okay, to the government when the government spending, increasing that spending. When the government increasing that spending, increasing G, how the central bank gonna respond? Okay, they're gonna have three ways to respond. Number one, central bank may hold the money, nominal money supply to be constant. Okay, this is the first way. The second way is the central bank may respond by hold the real interest rate to be constant. Or the third one, the central bank may respond by hold the GDP to be constant. Okay, they have three ways to respond to the government. Okay, so let's drawing the graph. Wait a minute. Okay, let me delete this one first. It's okay. We're gonna have only one more slide, and then we're done for today. Okay, so compare three cases together. We're gonna drawing three graphs. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, Y on the horizontal and R on the vertical. IS curve, LM curve, E1, Y1, R1. IS curve, LM curve, E1, Y1, R1. Oh, wait a minute. IS curve, LM curve, E1, Y1, R1. Okay, we're gonna have three graphs. Okay. Again, just like what I mentioned before, the government normally love to spending the money to make themselves to be popular. Okay, because they want to win the election again. Okay, the government spending a lot of money, right? When the government increasing that spending, it's gonna have the effect on IS curve. In this case, we don't talk about crowding out effect anymore. Okay, we don't go into the detail. Okay, so we just focusing on IS and LM. Okay, when the government increasing G, IS curve gonna shift to the right, like this. It's all the same in three graphs. Okay, it's all the same in three graphs. Increasing G, IS curve shift to the right, and then the equilibrium point gonna change from E1 to E2. GDP increasing from Y1 to Y2. The real interest rate increasing from R1 to R2 is all the same. It's gonna be the same. Okay, three cases. It's gonna be the same. Okay, so this is how the government increasing G. Okay, how it affects the equilibrium in ISLM model. Okay, then next one. Okay, how the central bank gonna respond? How the central bank gonna respond? Number one, the central bank may be hold M to be constant. If the central bank hold M to be constant, what does it mean? The money supply still the same, no changing. Okay, the money supply is still the same, no changing. So it means that In the money market, everything is going to be the same, no changing. Okay, if money market no changing, okay, it means that LM curve will be the same. So in this case, LM curve will be the same. So it means that nothing changed. Okay, only IS curve shift to the right, only the equilibrium point moving from E1 to E2. Okay, so in the first case, we can make the conclusion that the GDP will be increasing from Y1 to Y2. The real interest rate will be increasing from R1 to R2, and then it's done. Okay, it's done. This is for the first case. If the central bank respond by whole M to be constant. Case number 2, the central bank may be respond by whole R to be constant. Normally, the central bank gonna use this one, okay, when the economy has a crisis. When the economy has a crisis, okay? So the central bank may be seeing that, hey, the government spend more. Oh, wait, where is the government spending? Okay. When the government spend more, IS curve shift to the right, okay? GDP increasing, which is good. GDP increasing, which is good. However, the real interest rate increasing. This is not good. Okay, this is not good, okay? The central bank may be thinking that this is not good. The real interest rate increasing is not good because the economy is bad. Right? Economy is bad. We have a crisis. When the real interest rate increasing, this is not good for the people, right? When you use the credit card, when you want to buy something, when you want to invest in something, okay, you have a higher cost because the real interest rate is increasing. So this is not good, okay? So the central bank maybe respond by they want to make the real interest rate to going down to R1 again. How to do that? How to do that? In order to hold real interest rate to be constant, in order to make the real interest rate to going back to R1 again, the way the central bank have to do is central bank need to increasing M. If the central bank increasing M, okay, increasing money supply, IS curve will shift to the right. No, sorry, LM curve. LM curve will shift to the right. Then the equilibrium point gonna move from E1 to E3. The real interest rate gonna going down to R1 again. GDP will increasing one more step from Y2 to Y3. This is in order to hold real interest rate to be constant. The central bank need to increasing M. And it's good for the economy because GDP increasing 2 steps, Y1 to Y2 and Y2 to Y3. GDP increasing a lot. And the real estate going down to R1 again. Okay, the real estate is constant at R1. Okay, this is the central bank gonna do this way when the economy is not good. We have a crisis. This is number 2. Number 3, okay, the central bank maybe respond by whole Y to be constant. Okay, the central bank gonna do this when we have economic bubble. Okay, economic bubble. Economic bubble is like a name. When you have the inflation problem, everything become more expensive. Okay, when you have inflation problem, okay, the price is going up a lot. Okay, that's why we call it a bubble. Okay, when you have the inflation problem, it means that the economy, everything in the economy is very expensive. Okay, everything in the economy is very expensive. Okay, the way the central bank gonna do in this case is the central bank gonna reducing M. Reducing M. When everything in the economy become more expensive, okay, when you have the inflation, okay, how in order to fix this problem, you're gonna have to make people spend less. When everything become more expensive, if you can make people spend less, when everyone spend less, you know, firms cannot sell the product, right? So firm have to reducing the price down. Okay, this is a way to do. Okay, when everything become more expensive, if you want to make it cheaper, you have to force people to spend less. When people spend less, nobody buy the product. The price of the product should be going down finally, right? Okay. In order to make people to spend less, okay, the central bank need to reducing M. Okay, why? Why? Because when the central bank reducing M, LM curve gonna shift to the left. And as you can see here, the equilibrium point gonna going up from E2 to E3, and the real interest rate increasing one more step from R1 to R3. The real interest rate increasing one more step from R1 to R3. As you can see, in total, real interest rate increasing a lot. You see that for the yellow color, the real interest rate increasing a lot. When the real interest rate increasing a lot, is what does it mean? Everyone gonna stop spending the money, right? If you're using credit card, you're gonna stop spending the money. If you plan to investing in something, when the real interest rate increasing, it means that cost of borrowing is high, right? When cost of borrowing is high, you're gonna stop spending, you're gonna stop investing, right? Okay. When you stop spending, when you stop investing, GDP going back. GDP is going to become lower going back to Y1. Okay, going back to Y1. Okay, that's why we call whole Y to be constant. We want Y to be constant at Y1. We don't want it to be increasing, right? Because we have inflation problem, we have a bubble problem. Okay, GDP going to be reducing. This is like the central bank want to slow the economy down because they have the inflation problem. Everything is expensive. They need to slow the economy down to hold Y to be constant. How to do that? Reducing M. Okay, and then the real estate increasing. People are going to stop spending the money. The whole economy going to slow down. Okay, so far so good. So we have 3 cases here. Okay, done for today. Any question here? Any question here? Okay, good. Okay, so we're gonna stop here today. As you can see, okay, we're gonna keep study like this. Okay, just maybe 50 minutes per day. Okay, however, I want to tell you one thing. If I have some free time on Saturday and Sunday, I may give you more. I may give you the extra class, a makeup class, okay, in order to make the whole semester finish faster. Okay, so I planned it. I thinking that I can finish everything in 4 weeks. Okay, so it means that by the mid of the October, everything is going to be done. So you're going to have 2 or 3 more weeks to be planning for your midterm exam. So if I have some free time on Wednesday, if I have some free time on Saturday and Sunday, I'm gonna give you more class, okay, to make everything finish sooner than usual. Okay, so if for example this week I am free on Sunday, I gonna give you extra class on Sunday. If you are free, you can join. If you are busy, you can watch the video clips later. Okay, so far so good. Okay, that's it. So today we're gonna stop here. Okay, and we're gonna see each other again on Friday. Okay, that's it. Any question? No? Okay, so bye bye everyone.